AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hey, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. By the way, a number of people have emailed and said that when they put their email address in, if you text golf to 33777, they were then asked again to give their email address, and it cycle repeated. There was a bug in the system. It got caught. We have gotten your email addresses. For the rest of you, you want to try to win the Van Allen golf putter, you text golf to 33777, and the bug is fixed, so you won't go through the never-ending circle of being asked for your email address. Okay, I gotta dive in on the story here. It's from the weekend. A lot of people want to claim to be political refugees in the United States. A lot of people who really aren't political refugees. They have no reason really to stay here. They want refugee status just because they don't want to go home. But they're not really going to be harmed if they go home. Here is a real-world, live political refugee situation of a man who will be murdered if he goes home. This is from the Wall Street Journal. A Chinese citizen who fled the country after gathering evidence of alleged human rights violations against the nation's Uyghur population is at risk of being returned there after being detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, his supporters say. Hen Guang is jailed in upstate New York awaiting an immigration hearing on Monday that could lead to his removal from the United States and ultimately land him back in China, according to his lawyer and a New York-based activist group, Human Rights in China. The group says the 38-year-old arrived in the United States illegally in 2021 and was detained in August during an ICE operation targeting his roommate. Guan's name appears through an online portal of ICE detainees, indicating he was held in New York State. The agency and the Broome County Jail, where his supporters say Guan is being held, didn't respond to questions. A native of north-central China, Guan had embarked on a citizen journalism project in 2020 to check Western media reports that ethnic Uyghurs were being imprisoned in huge numbers at camps around the Xinjiang province. Guam posted videos that were viewed by many human rights watchers and confirmed earlier reports, including findings by BuzzFeed News about the camps. If he is deported, he will certainly face a very serious prison sentence due to the social impact of this incident, says Zhu Fengshu, the executive director of Human Rights in China. Representative James McGovern of Massachusetts sent a letter Friday to the director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Joseph Edlow, supporting an application for giving the man political asylum in the U.S. McGovern's lawyer said Guan's video work supported reporting that had been useful to American policymakers in challenging China, including passage of the 2021 law that blocked imports of goods from Xinjiang. A lawyer for Guan, Chang Chen, said Monday's online hearing will give the detainee his first opportunity to state his case and for a judge to hear from his supporters. Chen said that while he doubts such a complex case can be resolved in one hearing, Guan is bracing for a relatively quick decision. Chin said a judge on Friday denied his release on bond for jurisdictional reasons. This is a real political refugee. If this man goes back to China, he will be imprisoned or killed. No one doubts that, by the way. You should understand this, that there's no dispute among Republicans or Democrats alike. And I'm hoping the judge will do the right thing here. I'm hoping the Trump administration might get the president off his phone and put this story in front of him and that he can intervene. And I'm a little bit concerned with the president's team being softball on the Chinese of late, that maybe they won't do anything. Things are not going well in China, though, and we have an opportunity right now to one-up them. I put this in the show notes today. Again, if you text Eric to 33777, it's in the show notes. I want to just read you this from the Wall Street Journal. China's retail sales growth slowed to its lowest level since 2022, while investment and the property market continue to deteriorate, according to data released Monday by China's National Bureau of Statistics. Keep in mind, propaganda outfit run by the Communist Chinese, so they try to downplay bad news. Retail sales, they said, were up 1.3% in November, down from 2.9% in October. Industrial production, they said, was up 4.8% in November, down from 4.9%. Fixed asset income was down negative 2.6% in the January to November period compared with the same stretch in 2024, widening from negative 1.7% in that period. Property investment is down 15.9%. Average home prices in 70 cities down 2.8%. Urban unemployment is now 5.1% in November. Earlier this month, China reported a record $1 trillion trade surplus for the first 11 months of the year, underscoring the country's export dominance despite U.S. tariffs. Producer prices have also remained in negative territory for more than 3 years. Producer prices have remained in negative territory for more than 3 years. China has lots of problems right now. What is it? Jimmy Lai is the Chinese newspaper publisher. He is a pro-democracy media baron in Hong Kong. He's been convicted in a national security trial. He's an outspoken critic of Beijing. He was convicted in a national security trial in city court on Monday, which could send him to prison for the rest of his life. 3 government-vetted judges found Lai, 78, guilty of conspiring with others to collude with foreign forces to endanger national security and conspiracy to publish seditious articles. He pleaded not guilty. He was arrested in August of 2020 under a Beijing-imposed national security law that was implemented following massive anti-government protests in 2019. Lai had spent 5 years in custody, much of it in solitary confinement, and his family said his health was declining. He's also been convicted of several lesser offenses related to fraud allegations. Lai's trial, conducted without a jury, was monitored by the U.S., Britain, and the European Union and political observers as a barometer of media freedom and judicial independence in the former British colony. Sebastian Lai, one of his children, said the family was saddened but not surprised. In the 800-page verdict, they have there is essentially nothing that incriminates him, he said from London. This is a perfect example of how the national security law has been molded and weaponized against someone who essentially said stuff they didn't like. The verdict proves that the authorities still fear our father, even in his weakened state, for what he represents. We stand by his innocence and condemn this miscarriage of justice, said his daughter Claire. They essentially claimed that he was plotting against Beijing. At the same time, the Democracy Party of Hong Kong has voted to disband. They're giving up hope. This was Margaret Thatcher's great mistake. She even admitted as much later in life. Margaret Thatcher believed that handing Hong Kong back to the Chinese would essentially infect the Chinese with the pro-democracy spirit of Great Britain. Instead, China isolated it like it was a virus and did everything they can to stamp it out. They embraced some free market reforms until Xi Jinping became president, and they've shut those down as well. Western leaders believed that they could spread democracy into communist China through Hong Kong, and they lost. The British gave back Hong Kong. It was their crown jewel. They gave it back, and now they've lost it for good. They've lost its values. Its people are being persecuted by the communist Chinese. There's an echo here to the Islamic radicalism we see in the Western world. The West believed they could allow these people to come into Western world and become civilized. It was a very arrogant thing of the West to do. They didn't want assimilation, though. Had they forced assimilation, had they not been ashamed of assimilation, they might have been able to get all of the Islamic immigrants into the West assimilated so that they stamp out their desire to kill everybody else. But they didn't do that. They were ashamed of assimilation. And the common thread here is that the West always thinks they can infect totalitarian regimes with freedom. You can't infect regimes with freedom because freedom means those regimes might go away. You can infect the people with freedom, but not the regimes. Because the regimes want to stay. The regimes don't want freedom because freedom means they could be wiped out. It was Margaret Thatcher's mistake. I recall a speech she gave where she acknowledged as much, that they overestimated the ability of the British system to be able to infect the Chinese with the spirit of democracy. They took as much of capitalism as they could without destroying communism, and they ditched all the rest of it. Now, Mr. Lai is going to go to prison for life. He was there, by the way, with Cardinal Joseph Zen, Hong Kong's Roman Catholic cardinal, who has stood with him the whole way through, himself bullied and badgered by the communist Chinese. And now here in this country, in New York State, we have a Chinese dissident who documented the persecution of the Uyghurs, a Holocaust of Uyghurs. They are not just putting them in concentration camps. They're killing them. They're taking their children from them. They are forcing their children to be adopted by Chinese elsewhere to take their characteristics of culture out of them. The Uyghurs are a Muslim minority. You've got some people in this country who say, well, they're a Muslim minority, screw them, we don't want anything to do with them. Actually, they're the sorts of Muslims you do want. They're the sorts that don't believe in jihad. The Chinese are a ruthless, autocratic regime. They are everything that they say Donald Trump is. And by the way, I got to note this before I get out of here for commercial break. This has got to be noted. You don't hear LeBron James taking up this cause, do you? There are no major celebrities taking up the cause of this Chinese man in prison in the United States awaiting extradition. Where are the Kim Kardashians of the world? Where are the LeBron Jameses of the world? Where are the actors and actresses? Where are the major people? You got a handful of politicians saying that this guy in jail in New York should stay in the country, but he's not a cause celeb. Why? Because he's not a pro-Palestinian dissident and he's not a communist. He's someone who has exposed the communists. And so the Hollywood celebrities of the day are pretty quiet about him, are they not? Believe that they are. It's just an unfortunate abdication of government in this country. If that man is allowed out of this country, where his life will be in jeopardy, and it is a shame that someone can't go in and rescue Jimmy Lai from the Chinese authorities. That man has done a lot to defend democracy in Hong Kong, and now he will probably go to his death isolated and alone in a Chinese prison as the despots of Beijing try to clamp down on anyone who thinks differently from them.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
We kind of got to talk about the NFL today, don't we? In all seriousness, yesterday was a brutal, brutal day as everybody's scrambling for playoffs and some awful injuries. The Kansas City Chiefs are eliminated from not from competition, but from playoffs. First time they won't make the playoffs since 2014, and Patrick Mahomes went down, tearing his ACL. This is from the Wall Street Journal. As soon as Mahomes was left writhing on the ground and grabbing his knee late in the fourth quarter against the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday, it was clear he sustained a serious injury. That video nearly made me hurl. That was awful. Hours after the game, which ended in a loss that eliminated the Chiefs from postseason contention, the team said he suffered a torn knee ligament. As it turns out, it wasn't the only instance this weekend where the balance of power across the NFL was tilted by major injury. Not long afterwards, one of the game's top defensive players succumbed to the same injury when Green Bay Packers pass rusher Micah Parsons went down in a loss to the Denver Broncos. Also on Sunday, Los Angeles Rams receiver Davante Adams, who leads the NFL in receiving touchdowns, came up limping with what appeared to be a significant hamstring injury. For the Rams and Packers, two of the favorites in the NFC, the turn of events immediately complicated their path to the Super Bowl. In Kansas City, Mahomes' injury not only ended Kansas City's slim hopes of making it that far, it presents a potential problem for next season because of the recovery timeline for a severe knee injury. Don't know why this had to happen, Mahomes wrote on social media. I'll be back stronger than ever. The major questions for the Chiefs is exactly when he'll be back. At the time of the injury, Mahomes was scrambling to save the season, literally down 16-3 and needing a win to stay alive. He'd marched the offense on the Los Angeles side of the field. That's when he rolled out on his right and threw an incomplete pass before getting tackled from behind. Didn't take long for them to confirm Mahomes had torn his anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, on the play. 5 snaps later, backup Gardner Minshew threw an interception that sealed the defeat that snapped the team's 10 consecutive playoffs berths. My goodness, a lot of injuries, and you got Micah Parsons out there. I'm already sad that football season's almost over. College football is on the way out. We're headed into playoffs, and the playoffs are great, but I have enjoyed it. I did not, however, have guys on the front porch last night. I'll actually be gone this coming Sunday, and I couldn't last night because my son had his first ever recital. He's been playing the piano and the cello, and we went to his recital last night. And also, like, everyone on planet Earth has the norovirus, and everybody's throwing up. And I was like, I don't want to be around humanity because I don't want to get sick. I'm supposed to go hit golf balls out west this coming weekend. I don't want to be sick. But, man, what a brutal, brutal day in the NFL for a lot of the major teams. Just brutal. Also, prayers for Patrick Mahomes and for those of you in Kansas City and your beloved Chiefs. Now, I got to tell you about Vision Computers. If you want to get their managed IT services, they're going to help keep you productive and engaged and your computer's up and running. And the great thing is you'll be able to be really good at your jobs while they're good at your computers. And you'll be able to talk to human beings, not to AI chatbots. What you do is you call them, talk to a real human being at 404-COMPUTE anywhere nationwide. And also, you can go to visioncomputers.com. But if you call them at 404-COMPUTE and say, Eric sent me, you might be able to save some money. Their managed IT services are $199 a year per computer, and they can even build you or upgrade you a computer. They can take all of your existing stuff, if it's Windows 11 compliant, put it on your new computer, set it up just like you've already got it, so nothing looks like it changes, but the computer's faster, zippier, and you've got Vision Computers managed IT services. In fact, if they build you a new computer, their managed IT services come for free. They can take care of your whole company, so you don't have to have the in-house 6-figure salary. You just rely on Vision Computers. Your employees can be great at their jobs. Vision Computers can be great at their computers. They can even remote in, so if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, for example, they can still help you anywhere nationwide. Call them 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes. so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. All right, listen, one more time. If you text golf to 33777, I've got some putters that I am giving away from Van Allen Golf. They are gorgeous, really fantastically weighted putters, and I can't wait for you to check them out. They are going to really be an advertiser next year. I've known those guys for a long time. If you're familiar with True Precision, the makers of fine guns and gun parts, they realize their milling machines also are excellent at making high-end putters. And so they have launched Van Allen Golf, and oh my gosh, I love this putter so much. It's so well-balanced. Can't wait for you guys to check them out. But I've got 3 of them. I'm going to give them away, 1 per day. If you text golf to 33777, reply back with your email address to the message you get, and we'll be emailing some lucky people. Now, I got to say something. I'm a small government guy because I'm a Christian. You're like, Erickson, what does Christianity have to do with small government? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're all sinners, are we not? We all have fallen. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. I'm a Christian. I know we are all sinners, so I want as few in charge of me as possible. So I support small government. And I'm not a big proponent of the idea that we need a law, but my gosh, we need a law on this. This is one of the craziest stories I have read. Oh my goodness gracious. Let me just read to you this. This is the craziest story. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Inside a closed Los Angeles courtroom, something wasn't right. Clerks working for family court judge Amy Pellman were reviewing routine surrogacy petitions when they spotted an unusual pattern. The same name again and again. A Chinese billionaire was seeking parental rights to at least 4 unborn children, and the court's additional research showed he had already fathered or was in the process of fathering at least 8 more, all through surrogates. When Pellman called Zhu Bo in for a confidential hearing in the summer of 2023, he never entered the courtroom, according to people who attended the hearing. The maker of fantasy video games lived in China and appeared via video, speaking through an interpreter. He said he hoped to have 20 or so U.S.-born children through surrogacy, boys because they're superior to girls, to one day take over his business. Several of his kids were being raised by nannies in nearby Irvine, California, as they awaited paperwork to travel to China. He hadn't yet met them, he told the judge, because work had been busy. Pellman was alarmed, according to the people who attended the hearing. Surrogacy was a tool to help people build families. But what Zhu was describing didn't seem like parenting, the people said. The judge denied his request for parentage, normally quickly approved for the intended parents of a baby born through surrogacy. The decision left the children he'd paid for in legal limbo. The court declined to comment on Zhu's case. Zhu, an online mega-poster but real-life recluse, has barely spoken with reporters and hasn't been photographed in public for more than a decade. A representative of Zhu's company, Duoyi Network, didn't respond to specific questions about the hearing or Zhu's use of surrogacy. The boss does not accept interview requests from anyone for any purpose, the representative said in an email to the Wall Street Journal, adding that much of what you describe is untrue. The representative, who didn't provide a name, didn't respond to repeated requests to clarify what was inaccurate. Pellman's decision in the confidential case, which has not been reported, was a rare rebuke to a little-known trend in the largely unregulated U.S. surrogacy industry. Chinese elites and billionaires who are going outside of China, where domestic surrogacy is illegal, to quietly have large numbers of U.S.-born babies. Since U.S. court proceedings for surrogacy are usually private, often taking place without even a mention on the court's public docket. Oversight is limited. Some Chinese parents, inspired by Elon Musk's 14 known children, pay millions in surrogacy fees to hire women in the United States to help them build families of jaw-dropping size. Xu calls himself China's first father and is known in China as a vocal critic of feminism. On social media, his company said he had more than 100 children born through surrogacy in the United States. Another wealthy Chinese executive, Wang Huwu, hired U.S. models and others as egg donors to have 10 girls, with the aim of one day marrying them off to powerful men, according to people close to the executive's education company. Other Chinese clients, usually seeking more typical numbers of babies, are high-powered executives lacking the time and inclination to bear their own children, older parents, or same-sex couples, according to people who arrange surrogacy deals and work in surrogacy law. All have the wealth to go outside China while maintaining the privacy needed to manage potential logistical, publicity, and legal issues back home. Some have the political clout to avoid censure. The market has grown so sophisticated, experts say, that at times Chinese parents have had U.S.-born children without stepping foot in the United States. A thriving mini-industry of American surrogacy agencies, law firms, clinics, delivery agencies, and nanny services, even to pick up the newborns from the hospital, has risen to accommodate the demand, permitting parents to ship their genetic material abroad and get a baby delivered back at a cost of up to about $200,000 per child. The growing Asian market for international fertility services has drawn the attention of American investors, including Peter Thiel, whose family office has backed a chain of IVF clinics across Southeast Asia and a recently opened branch in Los Angeles. Because, of course, the man who's worried about the AI Antichrist is one creepy dude. Most U.S. states don't bar international parents from working with American surrogates. Chinese law doesn't strictly prohibit its citizens from going overseas for surrogacy, but officials have criticized it. Stories of Chinese celebrities or government officials working with overseas surrogacy have sometimes caused scandal among the public at home, which tends to view surrogacy as ethically dubious and exploitative. Wait a second. Wait just a minute. You mean the Chinese are more moral when it comes to the issue of surrogacy than we are? Wow. That's just, wow. So let me just, this article goes on, and y'all, this is just bizarre. It's essentially Costco for human eggs. Is some of these places. Now some of them deny it, but it's kind of like Costco. This is crazy. One lawyer says that she had a Chinese parent who wanted 8 to 10 surrogacies and asked for a discount, and I was like, no, we're not Costco. The client who didn't take the client because she rejects those looking for more than 2 surrogacies at once. California, of course, is where a lot of this stuff is happening. This is just creepy. There actually does need to be a law here. We have Chinese billionaires essentially building an army of U.S. citizens who are never really going to know the United States because they're going to be shipped to China when they're babies and one day come back here and say, I'm an American citizen. And because they're American citizens, they're going to be able to get their Chinese citizen communist parents here. Yes, my friends, we need a law here. Rick Scott is on the case, by the way. The senator from the state of Florida, he has introduced a bill in the Senate to ban the use of surrogacy in the United States by people from some foreign countries, including China, citing an ongoing federal human trafficking investigation into a Chinese-American couple in Los Angeles who had more than 24 children, nearly all born through surrogacy within the past 4 years. Now, wait, what is this? Have you heard about this story? Listen to this story. In early May, after a baby was born with possible signs of after a baby was hospitalized with possible signs of child abuse, police showed up in a 9-bedroom mansion in Los Angeles, known for lavish homes and residents with roots in China. Inside, they found 15 more children, none older than 3, living under the care of nannies. The investigative trail led them to 6 more children at other homes in the Los Angeles area. A Chinese-born man and woman living in the mansion said they were the parents to all 22 children. Birth certificates list them as such. What mystified police was that the children appeared to have been born all over the U.S. and in rapid succession. Local authorities removed the children from the homes, placing them in foster care, and called the FBI. The mansion, it turns out, was listed as the headquarters of Mark Surrogacy, which had arranged many of the children's births and was managed by Sylvia Zhang, the woman living there. Zhang said she was the mother of all the children. The surrogates who carried some of the children said in interviews with the Wall Street Journal that Zhang deceived them about the family she was trying to have and that they had spoken with federal agents in recent weeks. The investigation is focused, they were told, on whether the couple were selling babies whose births the agency had arranged. Zhang said in an interview with the Journal that she and a man she described as her husband just wanted to have as many children as they could. We never sell our babies, she said. We take care of them very well. Vanity McGovern, who gave birth to a baby girl for Mark Surrogacy in March, said she was shocked to learn Zhang had so many children. Now she says she's wondering whether Zhang had something that she doesn't want people to know. The website of the company Mark Surrogacy said it is a business of connecting surrogates with American and international couples who need them. The surrogates who live across the U.S. are paid tens of thousands of dollars each, said Zhang. And people working with the agency recruited them on Facebook, telling them they would be carrying children for a Chinese couple in Los Angeles struggling with infertility. Y'all, a lot of my Christian friends been raising lots of concerns about surrogacy. They get attacked for homophobia because a lot of gay couples in the United States use surrogates for kids. There are real concerns about surrogacy. There are real problems, and thanks to Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, for taking this issue seriously. What a bizarre thing. We actually do need laws on this. We have a bunch of Chinese citizens paying people in this country to have children for them, and those children get American citizenship by virtue of the 14th Amendment and then are shipped off to China for the rest of their lives. That's really wrong. It's immoral. It's creepy. It's cruel. What happens to the kids? You know, if they're American citizens, the U.S. government has a vested interest in their welfare. But where are they? We don't know. Once they leave the country, we have no idea. The surrogacy system, I understand people's desire to have children and to use surrogates. I question its morality. And I really question its legality in these situations. There needs to be a law. In fact, it is legal right now, and it needs to be illegal in these sorts of situations for sure. I just find it interesting that the Chinese communists have a moral revulsion to surrogacy that the Western elite do not. It's kind of interesting, is it not? That in China, they abhor the idea of a woman being paid to give birth to another person's child. They abhor the idea. They banned it in China. And here in this country, just wild. Just wild. We need laws on the books. Rick Scott is pushing it at the federal level. The State Department has moved to curb so-called birth tourism, tightening visa restrictions. California needs to crack down on this because it appears to be the bulk of these sorts of things happening in California. And this is just, the story goes on and on and on. And it is bizarre that we have the Chinese essentially doing this. The online gaming billionaire Zhu wants 50 high-quality sons. That's what he wants, 50 high-quality sons. He's got several children of mixed Chinese and Jewish descent who were taken away to the United States due to sabotage by feminists and malicious rulings by a female judge, according to someone. The user refused to be identified as him. This guy won't respond to calls from reporters. This This is weird. So y'all, you should understand, like, I'm a small government conservative. I don't think Congress should do much, but this is something Congress got to do. We can't have Chinese communists building armies of American citizen babies who they then move to China for the rest of their lives until they want to come back here and get something out of it. No, we got to ban this.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. I need to make a point here at the end. I'll spend more time on this later this week. It was a cruel weekend. A shooting at Brown, the shooting on Bondi Beach, the murder of Rob Reiner. When Longfellow wrote the words, "I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet, the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men," he was going through an extraordinary time. Longfellow wrote the poem after word came to him that Charles, his son, had been seriously wounded in the Battle of New Hope Church in the Civil War. Longfellow's wife, Frances, had died in a house fire. She burned alive. A lit candle fell on her dress and went up in flames, and she burned alive. His first wife had died in childbirth, and then his second wife, Frances, burned to death. And he was super protective of his eldest son, Charles, and begged him not to run off to war. And in a letter dated March 14th, 1863, Charles informed his father he had joined the Union Army and would be promoted to lieutenant very quickly. Quote, "I had tried hard to resist the temptation of going without your leave, but I cannot any longer. I feel it to be my first duty to do what I can for my country and would willingly lay down my life for it if it were any good." On Christmas Day, 1863, the Confederates appeared on the verge of winning, and word came that Charles had been wounded, possibly mortally. Then from each black accursed mouth the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the heart stoned of a continent, and made forlorn the households born, a peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head, "There is no peace on earth," I said, "for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men." And you know what? Longfellow, at the end of his poem, "Through all the darkness," wrote, "Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail. With peace on earth, goodwill to men." His son survived the war. The darkness doesn't last. Let me tell you about Old Glory Bank, my bank, before I get out of here. They'd love to be your bank. They are just a profoundly good group of people headquartered in Oklahoma City, and they'd love to do business with you. If you need a checking account or a savings account, if you're a business that needs an account and you're worried about your business because progressives may not like it, these guys are very conservative and they believe in freedom and your freedom to do banking. You can go to oldglorybank.com/Eric today to find out more. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. Old Glory Bank is my bank. I got a no-fee checking account or no-fee savings account with them. They have premium accounts. If you're active duty military, they'll waive a lot of the fees for you and your family. oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. Great people to do business with. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.